There is a version of you that you have never met. It doesn't show up at work. It doesn't appear in your Instagram photos. It doesn't speak at dinner parties or introduce itself to strangers. But it is there. It has always been there. And according to one of the greatest psychologists who ever lived, it is running more of your life than you are. Carl Jung called it the shadow. And once you understand what it is, you will never look at yourself or the people around you the same way again. From the moment you were born, the world began shaping you. Your parents rewarded certain behaviors and punished others. Your school told you what was acceptable and what was not. Your culture handed you a script, how to dress, how to speak, how to feel, how to be. And you, like every human being who has ever lived, adapted. You built what Jung called the persona, a word that comes from the Latin term for the masks worn by actors in ancient theater. The persona is the face you present to the world. It is not fake, exactly, but it is curated. It is the version of you that is socially acceptable, professionally appropriate, emotionally manageable. The persona is not the enemy. You need it. Without it, social life would be impossible. You cannot show every person you meet the full storm of everything you feel and think and want. But here is where it gets dangerous. Most people begin to believe the mask is their face. They identify so completely with who they are supposed to be that they forget or never discover who they actually are, and everything they cannot be, everything they cannot admit, everything they were told was wrong or weak or shameful. That doesn't disappear. It goes somewhere else. Jung described the shadow as the dark side of the personality, but that description is misleading because it sounds purely evil. The shadow is not simply your worst impulses. It is something more precise and more interesting than that. The shadow is everything you have disowned about yourself. Think about that for a moment. The rage you were told was unacceptable as a child. It went into the shadow. The ambition you were shamed for. It went into the shadow. The grief you were told to get over. The shadow holds it. The creativity you abandoned because it wasn't practical. It lives there too. The sexuality, the hunger, the jealousy, the longing, all of it. Anything that didn't fit the persona you were building. Compressed, stored, and sealed away. Jung used a powerful image for this. He said that by the time most people reach adulthood, they are dragging behind them an invisible bag. And in that bag is everything they have spent their entire life trying not to be. The shadow is not a flaw in human psychology. It is an inevitability. You cannot socialize a human being without creating one. The question is not whether you have a shadow. The question is whether it has you. Too genuinely unsettling, because the shadow does not stay sealed. It leaks, and it does so in ways you almost never recognize in the moment. Projection is the primary mechanism. When something in another person triggers a disproportionate reaction in you, an outsized anger, a sudden contempt, an irrational dislike, Jung would ask you to stop and consider, what if what you cannot stand in them is something you cannot stand in yourself? The person who cannot tolerate arrogance in others, ask them about their own hidden pride. The person who is disgusted by laziness, ask them about the exhaustion they refuse to admit. The person who despises weakness, ask them about the wound they have never let themselves feel. This is not a comfortable idea. It is not supposed to be. Projection is psychologically efficient. It is far easier to see your own shadow in someone else than to look at it directly in yourself. The emotion stays real. The intensity stays real. but the source gets relocated. Beyond projection, the shadow also drives what Jung called enantiodromia, the tendency for things to flip into their opposite when pushed to an extreme. The person who presents themselves as purely kind and selfless will eventually erupt in cruelty. The person who is relentlessly cheerful will one day collapse into a despair that seems to come from nowhere. The moralist will find themselves doing exactly what they condemn. This is not hypocrisy in the simple sense. It is the shadow breaking through the walls that have been built to contain it. History is full of these eruptions. So if you are honest, is your own life. Jung made an observation that I think is one of the most important things ever written about human nature. He said, "The brighter the light, the darker the shadow. The more completely a person identifies with virtue, with goodness, with moral correctness, the more powerful and dangerous their shadow becomes. Because everything that does not fit the image of the good, righteous, enlightened self does not disappear. It grows in the dark. It feeds on the energy used to suppress it. This is why the most rigid idealists so often become capable of the greatest cruelties. It is why institutions built on purity so frequently collapse into corruption. It is why the person who loudly... So, what do you do with this? Jung was not interested in eliminating the shadow. He believed that was both impossible and deeply unwise. To destroy the shadow would be to destroy the energy, the instinct, the rawness that makes you fully human. His answer was integration. To integrate the shadow is to turn and face it. To look at what you have disowned and ask, honestly, without flinching, what is actually here? This is the work of what Jung called individuation, the lifelong process of becoming a whole person rather than a well-maintained persona. It is not a destination, it is a direction. It begins with noticing your projections. When you feel that disproportionate charge towards someone, instead of acting on it, you pause and ask, what is this showing me about myself? It continues with sitting with your own contradictions. Allow yourself to feel the anger you were told was wrong, acknowledging the ambition you buried, grieving what you were never allowed to grieve. This is not a weakness. Jung argued it is the only path to genuine strength, because a person who knows their own darkness cannot be controlled by it. A person who has met their own shadow cannot be manipulated by someone else who knows it better than they do. The unexamined shadow does not protect you from your worst self. It hands your worst self the steering wheel while you sleep. Carl Jung spent his entire life doing this work, not preaching it from a distance, but living it, suffering it, writing about it in his private journals, which he forbade from being published until long after his death. He knew what it cost to look honestly at yourself, but he also knew what it cost not to. The shadow is not your enemy. It is the part of you that has been waiting, sometimes for decades, to be seen. The question is whether you are ready to look. If this video made you think, sit with it. Don't rush to the next thing. That discomfort you might be feeling right now, that might be exactly where the work begins. Subscribe if you want to keep going deeper. Next week, we go further.